Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick with the City of Hampton. And today we're going to talk a little bit more about community gardens or gardening, but also with a specific focus on your health. So here today from the Heart Association, we have Michele Charter. Welcome.
Thank you.
And from our community garden program, Wendy Iles is back. Hello.
Thank you so much.
Now, this Heart Association, what is the Heart Association connection with the gardening?
Well, Heart Association, most people think about CPR or maybe some of the clinical things we do.
Walking, heart attack, that kind of stuff.
Right. But we really are looking at prevention and how do we stop heart disease before it even begins, or certainly increase people's understanding of what they can do to prevent heart disease. So I'm with the Heart Association on special funding, and I'm looking at improving healthy, affordable food access for all. So I'm working with Wendy, and I'm working with the health department, the Hampton Health Department, to see if we can get gardening as a way for people to eat more fruits and vegetables and have it be right in their backyard.
It's such a throwback because when you look at Americans' history, we've been farmers, we've been agriculture, and when people moved into the suburbs, they had backyard gardens, and people needed to grow their own food because it was part of their tradition. It was healthy, and you couldn't always get fresh vegetables, and it was cheaper. I mean, my parents, we grew all of our own vegetables, and it was partly from a health standpoint and partly from an economic standpoint. And that's part of the group you're trying to reach too, is the lower income folks.
Yes. And I think the thing that's so ironic in Virginia is that agriculture is one of our main industries, yet we have 1.7 million people that have low access to healthy food in low-income areas, and that includes 480,000 children. So that's a huge number, and we're trying, doing small projects to see what we can do to make the difference on that.
Well, and I think it's a hard thing if you didn't learn from your parents. If you didn't grow up
it is
with
a
a
lost
garden,
start. Right.
And it's hard to start. So how are you getting people started?
Well, in Hampton, we are working to encourage people to have a plot at the community gardens. Wendy, do you want to?
Wendy, how many do we have now? Let's talk about that.
We have two. We still have two community gardens. We are working on the third site.
Okay.
And I just have one final approval to get through, and then we'll have the third site up, which should have another 44 to 48 plots available. Buckrow, which still has 44 plots, is completely full, and Phoebus has moved now to 34 plots, and they are about 3/4 full.
Okay, so hopefully if people call you after seeing this today, you'll have the third location to be able to offer them soon.
I hope so. I really hope so, yeah. And it's exciting because there's so many people who returned from last year, but just seeing signs that we have on the buses have increased the emails and calls that I've gotten.
So the bus campaign is one way you're reaching out to people who maybe haven't even thought about gardening. They live in an apartment, or it's not part of their tradition, or they don't have a lot of time, they don't have a lot of money. What is the bus campaign designed to do?
It is really to raise awareness on a couple different topics. We have some signs on the inside of all buses on the peninsula saying, want more fresh produce? Consider contacting the city for their free garden plot, which is really an advantage that Hampton offers that at no cost.
It's huge.
And they're not far from a bus stop.
Right,
so
that's one of the things I think is really helpful too,
Yes.
is they're in communities and people within those neighborhoods can take advantage, but people can get there fairly easily.
Right, and that's why we decided to go that direction too, because they can learn from each other, and it's something you can do with your kids. So there's a lot of advantages to having a plot at a community garden. But we're also working on, for those that can't have a community plot, working on doing a very short, instructive YouTube video talking about container gardening, using a milk jug, cutting off the top, seeing what you can grow right on your patio or even your windowsill, and getting the kids involved. They can have their own little garden that way.
That's kind of fun. And for kids, it's exciting, it's instructional, it's a way to develop healthiness. It also helps with their educational connections, because if
Yes.
you're studying, plants or environment or pollination, I mean, you see these things in action and it makes a difference.
And they're more likely to eat what they grow.
Absolutely.
And it will taste better too. Something that's fresh, right? You can walk out your door and pick it will make a big difference.
So what works for kids in a garden?
Playing in dirt.
Well, yes.
Carrots, I think.
Carrots, homegrown carrots, especially if you pick them young, are so much sweeter.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Oh,
taste
yes.
completely different than grocery store carrots.
Right. And I think the other piece is there's a real movement to eat local, and there's a movement to understand where your food comes from. So what better way than to grow something right on your porch or backyard and see it happen day by day.
Yeah, I've not had good luck with carrots. It gets hot here.
It does get hot
in July.
here. It
I think
does.
you've got to watch, you got to plant earlier probably
Start early.
than
That's
I
right.
get out there.
Also, you want to size it to the child. So if you're growing huge tomatoes, that may be a bit overwhelming for the child. So you maybe start with cherry tomatoes.
Cherry tomatoes
more
grow better
fun.
here anyway. They don't get the blight. They don't take as long to develop. You can
And
eat
they're
them
cute.
for like a month. They just keep coming.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the more you pick-
I've almost given up on full-size tomatoes,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
do a lot of different cherry tomatoes, and they are good for kids.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
just pick them and eat them, unless you're using. If you're careful about your pesticides, you can just pick them and eat them. But anyway,
But being
yeah.
colorful, kids
Oh,
love
yeah.
color. So you can grow carrots in 5 colors now. And it's fun to pull out a purple carrot or, a yellow carrot. It's different. It's not something they're going to see in the grocery store. But you can get so many different things in different colors now and shapes and sizes, and just sizing it to the child. That's what I like about the milk jug garden. You can actually plant a dwarf bell pepper in a milk jug, and you'll receive the produce from your efforts. And I think that's important. The one thing I like about cherry tomatoes is that they do produce quicker.
Right.
And so the child
Kids
sees
are
the
impatient.
gratification.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's good. I think, lettuce and baby greens work really well because again, it's pretty quick.
Yes.
Right.
You can harvest them. I know kids don't always like lettuce, but you put it on a sandwich, or they can just eat the leaves. I mean, it's
Right, or
too
put it
bad.
in a smoothie, and that, a lot of times you're more willing to drink something than you are to eat it.
right,
So-
right. Now, you talk about low-income people, and you had a newsflash that I had never heard before, but that some of the benefits can be used on plants or seeds.
Right, well, if you receive SNAP, which comes on a little card that's called EBT, you can use those SNAP benefits to buy seeds or plants. So that's another way
makes sense,
to
but,
encourage healthy eating. Yeah.
Sometimes government programs don't always make sense.
Right, right, right.
So, and I wouldn't have thought about it. That is a great benefit because, for $2 on a tomato plant, you get a whole lot more than $2 worth of cherry tomatoes.
Right,
So.
right. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, it's an easy way, like I said, to have something that you don't have to drive or catch a bus to go to a store and find something that, isn't as pretty as what you could grow in your own home. So,
And I'm also going to throw in, since you're the Heart Association, gardening is like America's #1 pastime for exercising. It might fall after walking, but gardening is really, it gets you outside, which
absolutely.
none of us get enough of today, but
Correct.
especially kids,
Right.
outside, unplugged, in the fresh air. And it is physical. Maybe not a milk jug garden as much as, digging through bigger
Right.
parts of dirt, but it at least gets you outside and is a good start toward.
And it's important to think about what you do when you garden. Stretch. You can, if you're digging really hard, you can certainly raise your heart rate. But yeah, gardening is definitely an active living type of activity, and it's good for the mind too. It's hard to be worried about something if you're digging in the dirt. So.
Yeah, it's true. You begin to appreciate nature and your food a whole lot more too.
Right,
Is
right.
while you're out there.
It's
doing
easier
it.
to work through problems too if you just kind of flow with it and garden.
That's right.
it
Stress
gives you-
reduction.
it is a good stress reducer, like walking. It gives you time to think, and you're definitely unplugged, and you can think a little better that way.
I think so too.
Okay, well, what else do you ladies want to talk about today? Are there other tips you want to leave with people before we close?
I did want to share that we have a lot of ongoing classes that are not just for our gardeners. We do have, all of our classes are free and open to the public. In May, we have nature photographer Nikki Park coming over from Norfolk, and she's going to show us how to photograph our gardens, because
Oh,
everybody,
cool.
you know, you
Oh,
produce
that's a
that
great
pepper, you want to
idea.
take a
Oh,
picture
you
of
do.
it.
You want it on Facebook and
absolutely.
Instagram and everything else.
Yeah, and then we have 2 of the master gardeners who specialize in butterflies, and they're going to be teaching a class on pollinators. And then we have the same chef from last year, Jason Lord, is coming back in June to teach another culinary class for us. So we continue to, you know, bring things out and get people out. Last month, I had a really nice turnout for one of our classes, and it was a lot of people that were not our gardeners, but, you know, like I said, we want to share the joy with everybody.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea, because gardens benefit the individual, but it also benefits the community. When you're
Absolutely.
growing more things, helping those pollinators, helping the ecology of the area, it has spin-off effects.
And
Absolutely.
connect with your neighbors. So
Right,
that's
right. When
important
you're
too.
outside in your backyard, you're more likely to see people, talk to people. It is community effort just within a neighborhood, but if you're in a community garden, you're meeting new neighbors.
Absolutely.
Right, with a
Absolutely.
similar interest, so that's even better.
Yeah, and sharing tips or sharing seeds or seedlings or whatever. It's a great way to make those community connections.
I would love for people to log on to a page we have, a website page
Okay.
that talks about healthy food access in Virginia and what the Heart Association is trying to do. So you can find a lot of information there and sign up to be an advocate for this, because it is a big policy issue for us as well with the General Assembly. So if you go on let me think here, healthyfoodva.heart.org. Don't put the www in front of it, but
Okay.
just healthyfoodva.heart.org. It will connect you to the page. There's one for Hampton Roads. There's also just general information about what's happening in Virginia.
Great. And Wendy, we'll make sure to get people to your website as well so they can sign up for community gardens, learn about your classes, all of that stuff.
Thank you so much. And you know, Facebook, we stay constantly uploading stuff to Facebook and just trying to keep it really interesting and exciting for gardeners.
Well, and you know, as you said, the photos tell the story. And so once you're uploading photos of people's produce, they'll be like, oh, I want to do that next year. How
Absolutely.
can I do that? So we'll get them hooked up, right?
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Robin.
ladies. And thank you for watching. I hope you will get started on your garden this year, whether it's in a milk jug, in your backyard, on your patio, or in one of our community gardens. Thanks for watching.